London was looking pretty good that night, all lit up by the streetlights with a clear sky overhead. Up in my penthouse, way up at the top of Harrington Tower, I was just standing there by the big window, not moving. Harrington was my last name, so I just call it Harrington Tower. My eyes, they're green, were looking down at the street, all busy like always, but my mind was somewhere else, back in the stuff that happened before. See, I'd made something of myself, built a business, you know? Hard work and knowing what I was doing, that's how I did it. But underneath all that, I was still carrying some baggage. Back in the day, I thought I was in love. Isabella Monroe was her name. She messed me up good, broke my heart in a way that sticks with you. Thought we'd spend our lives together, but she up and betrayed me. Never really got over it, you know? Anyway, there I was at this fancy party, music playing, chandeliers all sparkly. That's when things took a turn. Lucas Everett, a buddy from college, came up and basically dared me to do something stupid. We made a bet, a risky one, that led me straight to Lila Kensington. She was one of those socialites, always in the news for doing crazy stuff. What started as just a game, something I thought I could control, turned into a whole mess of stuff that neither of us saw coming. Changed everything, it did. The Imperial Hotel was all decked out, the grand hall shining from those chandeliers, with all the rich people in London milling around. You could hear them laughing and the clinking of champagne glasses. I didn't really feel like joining in. Just stood by the bar, glass of whiskey in my hand, watching everyone like I usually do. Then Lucas Everett, my old college pal, came over with a grin on his face. "Sebastian," he said, "you gonna stand here all night looking like you're about to bury someone? Loosen up a little." I took a sip of my whiskey, trying to keep my voice even. "I enjoy myself just fine." Lucas just raised an eyebrow, then looked over to the other side of the room. There were some women over there, all talking and laughing, but one of them caught his eye, Lila Kensington. Her hair was auburn, reflecting the light. And her eyes, blue and bright, like she didn't care what anyone thought. She just stood there like she was daring you to try her. "Lila Kensington," Lucas said, drawing the name out, like he was enjoying it. "She's a wild one, trouble for the upper class, for sure. The magazines love her." I just glanced over at her, not giving anything away. "So?" Lucas smirked. "I bet you can't turn her into a proper lady in 3 months." I put my glass down, a little smile on my face. "And what if I can?" Lucas just smiled. $2 million, he said, all smooth. I thought about it for a second. This wasn't just about the money, it was about control. Proving I could do anything, with anyone. "Deal," I said. I said deal, and that was that, my voice clear, making sure he knew I meant it. Across the room, I could almost feel Lila looking at me. When she did, I gave her a good, long stare. She just smiled back, like she knew something I didn't. Little did she know, she was about to be part of a game that would change everything. Back at that party, the Imperial Hotel was something else. All those lights shining everywhere. And, of course, you couldn't walk 5 feet without hearing her name, Lila Kensington. People were talking about her, that's for sure. I usually don't pay attention to gossip, but I couldn't help overhearing some stuff as I walked by. "She's the Kensington heiress, you know," one woman said. "Spoiled, always partying, and her family can't control her." The other one said, "Yeah, I heard her dad's trying to get her married off to some old rich guy to help the family out." I just glanced over at her for a second. Amid all the fancy dresses and champagne, Lila stood out. Red hair, bright smile, like she didn't care what anyone thought. She'd noticed me too, I could tell. Saw me come in with Lucas. And I knew her name was already going around on her side of the room too. One of her friends was saying, "That's Sebastian Harrington, right? His company's doing great. They say he's a tough guy to deal with." Lila just laughed, a bit of sarcasm in her voice. Rich, successful, good-looking. Perfect, isn't he? Almost like she knew what was coming next, her eyes met mine. Just for a second, but it felt like something shifted. Like we both knew something was about to happen. Later on, I walked over to where she was sitting in a dark corner of the bar. Just stood there, looking right at her. After the party, I knew all about Lila Kensington. And Lila, she knew who I was too. Thanks to all the chatter. As I approached, Lila said, "Sebastian Harrington," like she was testing the name out. "Even you can't stand these boring parties." She was sitting in the shadows, with a drink in her hand, watching everyone. She was used to the stares and the whispers, but nobody really knew her. I came over, all dressed up in my suit. Even in a place like that, I stood out, I guess. She saw me coming and gave me a little smile. Lila smiled at me, all playful. "Sebastian Harrington," she said, drawing out my name. "Even you can't stand these boring parties." I grabbed a chair and sat down, making sure she saw I was serious. "I've got a proposition for you." She raised an eyebrow, acting curious. "A proposition? Let me guess. A business deal? Buying something? Marriage?" I just said it straight out. The word marriage just hung there for a second. Then Lila burst out laughing, like I'd said the funniest thing in the world. "Marriage? With you? You can't be serious." I didn't even flinch. "I'm dead serious," I said. "We both need something. Your family's trying to force you into marrying someone you don't want, right?" Her laughter stopped, and for a second, I saw something real in her eyes. Not so confident anymore. "How did you know that?" I just said, "I know more than you think. And I can help you get out of it. In return, you just have to play my wife for 3 months. After that, we get divorced and you can do whatever you want." Lila looked me up and down, trying to figure out what I was really after. "And what's in it for you?" I smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Consider it a challenge." I didn't mention the bet with Lucas, but she could see I was serious. Lila leaned back, thinking about it. She probably wanted to tell me to get lost, but something about the way I looked at her, like I wasn't underestimating her, made her think twice. Finally, she put down her drink, a little spark in her eyes. "All right, Sebastian, you've got a deal." The wedding of Sebastian Harrington and Lila Kensington was all anyone could talk about. A serious businessman marrying a wild socialite? Perfect gossip material. Lila walked down the aisle in a gorgeous dress, but she still looked like she didn't care what anyone thought. I stood next to her, not showing any emotion. Looked like I was just doing what I had to do. But only we knew the truth. This wasn't any kind of love story. Our house, the Harrington estate, was big and fancy. But inside, it felt cold. Lila kept living her life, partying all night, spending a lot of money, and driving fast cars. The magazines loved it. She didn't try to hide that she didn't care about the marriage. She just acted like it was a business deal. Me? I didn't say anything. Just watched her. On the nights she came home late, laughing like she owned the place, I'd just sit in the library, reading the paper, like nothing was happening. It drove her crazy. One night, Lila came stumbling into the main hall, pretty drunk from another party. The lights made her face all flushed. I saw her, standing near the library, acting as cool as ever, which was getting on my nerves. "Sebastian," she said, teasing me. "Do you ever stop acting like a robot, or are you just a statue that came to life?" I looked at her, my eyes cold. "You should go to bed." But she wasn't having it. She took a step closer, and I could smell the alcohol. "Do you ever let go, or are you too scared to lose control?" She grabbed my tie and pulled me down, smiling like she was daring me. Before I could stop her, she kissed me. A strong, bold kiss that was all about the dare. Lila quit it. I whispered her name, not sure if I wanted her to stop. When she kissed me again, something inside me just broke. I didn't realize how much she was getting to me until that moment. Before I knew it, I had her in my arms, carrying her to the bedroom. In the quiet of the room, it felt like the walls between us came down. But after we were done, I realized something I didn't see coming. Lila was a virgin. I just stared at her, surprised. She was lying on the bed, her red hair all over the pillows, looking right at me. "Surprise, huh?" she asked, her voice making fun of me a little. I didn't say anything for a minute. I was confused, but I also respected her. Lila wasn't the wild woman I thought she was. She was a mystery, and I got her all wrong. For the first time, I started to see her for who she really was. After a while, I started noticing things about Lila that I didn't expect. One night, I saw her giving the housekeeper a bunch of money in the kitchen. "This is for your son's school," she said quietly. "Don't tell anyone I gave it to you." She sounded nice, not like the wild party girl everyone knew. So I started paying attention. I found out she was donating coats and supplies to kids in orphanages, and that she drove around at night giving food and blankets to homeless people. This wasn't the stuff a shallow socialite would do. Lila, on the other hand, started to see a different side of me. Underneath the cold act, I was carrying the weight of a lot of responsibility. She saw me working late, looking tired and serious. The guy who used to annoy her now made her curious. Slowly, the quiet dinners at the mansion started changing. Instead of just silence, we started talking a little. And the cold looks we gave each other started to soften. After that night, things at the house felt different, even if we didn't talk about it. There was a closeness between us that hadn't been there before. Lila started to calm down a little, and I started to notice the little things about her. But just when things started to feel okay, everything went wrong. Isabella Monroe, the woman who messed me up years ago, came back, and she was out for revenge. She didn't just want to hurt my business, she wanted to get at Lila, the woman she thought was taking her place. Isabella spread lies and rumors, convincing the big investors to pull their money out of my company. Suddenly, Harrington Group was in trouble. Projects stopped, stocks dropped, and people were talking about bankruptcy. I was working harder than ever, spending days and nights trying to save the company my family built. One afternoon, Lila was sitting at a coffee shop, trying to relax for a minute. She overheard some people talking at the next table. They were employees from my company, talking in low voices, worried about losing their jobs. "If we don't get a new investor by next week, we're all screwed," one of them said. Lila froze. She thought I was acting distant because I didn't care about her. But now she realized I was dealing with a huge problem, trying to save the company. That night, Lila went back to the house and went straight to her office. She opened the safe and took out the papers for her inheritance from her mom. She always thought of that money as a reminder of her mom's love. But now, she knew she had to use it to help me. She called her lawyer, sounding sure of herself. "Transfer a big chunk of my inheritance into Harrington Group's account. I want it done tonight." The lawyer hesitated. "Are you sure, Lila? That's a lot of money." She cut him off. "I'm sure. Just do it. Now." Later that night, Lila was driving home from some charity thing, thinking about me. She didn't even see the truck coming until it was too late. There was a loud screech, the sound of glass breaking, and her car slammed into the guardrail and flipped over. She was bleeding from her head, and as everything started to go black, all she could think about was that little smile of mine. I heard about the accident right away. I rushed to the hospital, feeling like my heart was being squeezed, and saw her lying there, not moving. Her face was white, and she had a big cut on her forehead. I just sat there, next to her, and grabbed her hand. It was so cold. For the first time in years, I felt like I couldn't do anything, like I had no control. I always hated that feeling. "Lila, why did you have to go through this?" I whispered, and my voice broke a little. George, my assistant, came into the room with a file. "Mr. Harrington, you need to see this." I opened it up, and I saw a name I knew, Lila Kensington. Then I realized that while I was trying to save the company, she had quietly transferred a ton of money from her inheritance to help. I just sat there with those papers, and all the memories came back. The way she used to look at me, the disappointment in her eyes, all the times she tried to talk to me and I just blew her off. And she did it all without wanting anything back. I leaned in closer to her, looking at her pale face. "You've been there for me all along, haven't you?" I whispered, my voice all choked up. I felt so stupid. I had been so blind, letting my pride and the past get in the way. "I didn't deserve you, but I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I can. I was wrong. I don't deserve it, but please, come back to me." Her fingers moved a little, and she opened her eyes. She looked at me, tired but still warm, and gave me a weak smile. "You know now, don't you?" she asked softly, teasing me a little. I nodded, squeezing her hand. "I know, and I'm sorry. I wasn't worth it, but I'll change. From now on, I'll never let you face anything alone again." A few months later, the house didn't feel so cold anymore. Harrington Group was doing better, but more importantly, things between me and Lila had changed into something we never saw coming. One night, I took Lila out to the garden. The lights were shining on the roses, and it was really nice under the stars. Lila stopped in the middle of the garden, looking at me. "Sebastian, what are we doing out here?" I didn't say anything at first. I just pulled out a little box from my pocket and got down on one knee. The cold look in my eyes was gone, replaced with something real. "Lila," I said, my voice strong but a little shaky. "The first time I asked you to marry me, it was because of a dumb bet. But tonight, I want to do it right." Lila just stood there, looking at me. "You've changed my life in ways I never thought possible," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You've taught me that love isn't about games or control. I want to start over, with real love." I opened the box, and there was a diamond ring inside, shining in the light. That ring sparkled in the moonlight. "Lila Kensington, will you forgive me and give me a chance to show you how much I love you?" Lila's eyes filled up with tears, shining like diamonds under the moon. She laughed a little, like she couldn't believe what was happening. "I will, Sebastian," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Let's start over, this time with real love." I stood up and put the ring on her finger. Then, I pulled her close. Under the stars, we kissed, promising to forget about the past and start a new life built on real love.